This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to INCRadio United Kingdom, Fit and Faithful. I am Chris Boado, and I'm joined by my lovely wife, Cheryl Boado. We do hope that everyone who's joining us on today's show is fit and healthy. And once again, we thank you for taking the time out of your day and joining us on today's show. So once again, for those who are joining us live and are watching on the YouTube channel, it's always nice to see where the audience is. So if you'd like to let us know, you can comment down, type your name, type your duty, type what congregation, type what ecclesiastical district you're from, and then we'll have a look later on in the comment section, and then we'll be able to just see how far and how wide we are broadcasting on today's show. How you doing, Cheryl?
Very well, thank you. I hope everybody is keeping warm despite of the dull and gloomy grey weather here in the UK.
Actually, do you know what? We've had some good news. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong. It is the end of the winter solstice. So we are officially moving into spring, which means the days are going to get longer in comparison to what we've experienced now. And to be fair, you know, this December's been quite mild in comparison to all the other Decembers in the previous years. I mean, it's normally like single digits in the temperature, right? But over the past 3 weeks or so, it's been quite mild. It's been quite warm. So yeah, we do hope everyone's well, everyone's warm, and yeah, thank you for joining us on today's show.
And I think this year, because it's ending, usually January is when it's more grey and more dull here in the UK. And actually that's the perfect time which ties in with our topic for today, which really is along the lines of having a healthy mindset. So it's a very interesting topic today, guys. So for those of us who are listening, particularly if you're watching us from YouTube, now is a perfect opportunity for you. If you have any questions for us, any input with regards to maybe how you're feeling at this time of the year, the things that you are also excited about coming into the new year, regardless of what has happened, I think.
Yeah, I think this time of the year is one where a vast majority of people tend to just reflect on what they've experienced, the highs, the lows, what they could have done better, the experiences that they've had, the tests, the trials, and all of the positive things at the same time. So I know I've experienced that this year on my end has been very testing for us both. However, you know, as members of church, it's we always know that God is by our side, and we have our utmost faith in our Almighty God, and He's been with us, and He's given us the opportunity to find the strength that we didn't think we had to get past all of these different tests and hurdles. And here we are today, you know. We've experienced blessings at the same time. So it's been an interesting year. So to reflect back on that, I'm sure there's a lot of people in the same kind of position. I mean, look, one more week and it's just over a week and it's the end of 2025. Where is this year gone, no?
Yeah, I think I, for one, will be glad to see the back of 2025.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the year ahead.
Yeah,
It can only get better.
It can only get better. I mean, look, it's those, I mean, because we've experienced our fair share of tests, right? But it's helped us develop a more resolute mindset when it came down to facing all of these different tests. Because a lot of these tests, we've never experienced before, right? So to find some form of answer to all of these issues that needed addressing, it was quite a challenge, but we were able to get through it, you know.
Well, we have somebody very special with us today who is able to hopefully can give us tips on how to work through some of these thoughts in our minds, actually.
to keep
Of
the mind
course,
healthy, right?
We will always remain prayerful and trust in our God to take the lead in everything that we do and anything that happens in our lives. But let's introduce our special guest. So here he is. His name is Brother Darwin Bison. Let's see, is he online?
Can you hear us, brother?
I can hear you loud and clear, Brother Chris and Sister Cheryl. Good to see you. And
Likewise.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, especially in your very busy schedule. But please, could you tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. No, thank you. And thanks for having me here. Yeah, just on the topic of gloomy weather, I've got a door open here. You can see it's the sun's gone away, and it's a bit grey and gloomy. So I am looking forward to springtime, and we're
Longer days,
exactly, right.
more sunshine.
These short days seem to make us all feel a bit down. But yeah. So yeah, a little bit about me. Well, I think for those of you who know me, I'm Brother Darwin. I'm a clinical psychologist, and I work here in London, in the east of London, as part of the NHS, working with people with helping them with their psychological well-being. I'm also a head deacon here in the local congregation of Notting Hill, here in our district of Britain South. And also we do a lot of activities together in the district, don't we? So we're always busy, and that always helps us during these kind of gloomy winter months to kind of keep our mindsets positive.
Yeah, it's always nice, especially because the district is very, very busy. We've been experiencing many different types of activities recently, and it's always a blessing when we're all together. We uplift each other, isn't it? We uplift each other. We give each other the energy we need, and then we encourage everyone, and especially we find that extra energy to get through, and we help each other throughout all of these different activities, and then the activities flourish, and we see all the brethren are smiling, and then we just generally have a good time, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think today, the topic for today, isn't it? It's just as you were talking earlier about reflecting on 2025 and then looking ahead to 2026, it's always like, how do we do things differently? How do we improve? How do we make things better? And, looking ahead, one of the things obviously coming from my area of expertise is how do we set up our minds or set up our mindsets, yes, so that it can.
Sorry to interrupt. Before
Go for
we
it.
get to the section where we have reached a healthy mindset and where we can kind of move on from being at a certain stage where we are, can I begin maybe if I can ask how we can recognize signs of negativity, or how do we recognize if we have an unhealthy mindset within ourselves? So particularly while we're experiencing it at that moment, because how do we come out of it, or how do we recognize it?
Yeah, that's a great question, isn't it? It's how do you recognize those signs of negativity, or kind of when our mindsets are in that kind of unhealthy mode? I mean, when we think about physical health and physical well-being, it's often easier to tell with your physical health, isn't it? Because you're either aching or there's some sort of pain. It feels painful, doesn't it? You can kind of recognize when there's something wrong with your physical body. But the question is, how do we notice when there's something kind of not quite right with our with our psychological or mental well-being. So I guess one of the things that there's two themes, I guess, that we want to kind of bring together is, but first of all, psychological health, or, how do we notice negativity? I mean, the myth that I think a lot of us fall into is that a healthy mindset is one that's always feeling good, feeling positive, or that doesn't experience distress. And I think, as we know, as we've been talking about, we've been through a lot of struggles and troubles. So a healthy mindset is not necessarily one that doesn't experience pain or distress. A healthy mindset is one that recognizes when it's feeling that distress and thinking and feeling and taking action, not to I guess, respond helpfully. Just as an example, I get a lot of referrals from people who are experiencing stress in the workplace. Yeah. So workplace stress, they get signed off from work, and they come to me and say, well, I need to feel better. I want to feel better. And I said, okay, well, if you want to feel better, what's the plan here? And what I often see is people don't want to feel bad. They want to get rid of those bad feelings and then go back to work. When actually, as we know, if you avoid the very things that keep you fit and strong, it's a bit like saying, I want to get fitter, but I want to wait until I feel in the mood, or I feel right to go out and exercise. You've got it the wrong way around, in a way, isn't it? The only way to do that is really to do the activity first, and then your feeling comes later. So I guess to answer your question, Cheryl, it's about when you're using your feelings to decide what you're going to do. That, for me, is one of the signs of an unhealthy mindset. When you're guided mostly by your emotions, by your feelings. I don't feel it. I want to get rid of this feeling. I want to feel better. And you're in that kind of stuck position. I don't know if you recognize any of that.
I think the key word that you mentioned as you're describing specific traits is taking action. See,
Yeah.
And recognizing that you are experiencing this negativity and embracing it, and then taking action so that you can change your state from changing your behavior, which will then elicit a different outcome. Because as you said, a lot of the time, I'm just going to say, like, the general population, which is us, normal individuals with normal jobs, and who experiences the daily stresses and stuff like this, we generally don't take action at that key moment. It's a little bit of a delay, and that's from my perspective. You're talking about the physical side to things. My job, everybody knows what I do. I'm a health and fitness coach. And, a lot of the time, a lot of the referrals come because they've waited too long to take action. So they need me to keep them accountable, to help them change their behavior to elicit that different outcome, because they needed that coach or that individual, being myself, to give them the extra push so that they can experience what it's like. And then more so, as you said, that feeling afterwards of achievement. That's what they've never experienced, you see. And until they take action, that's when they're never going to experience it. But it's convincing and persuading the general population to actually take action and do something about it.
I think it's
Absolutely, yeah.
It also has something to do with maybe different cultures, and even in different ages. So the stages of life. For example, obviously, I can only talk about myself. So I'm in my mid-40s.
Oh, you look great.
So I was brought up in a time where I didn't have time to think about my feelings, to think about how I should think, to think about, is there something wrong with the way I'm thinking? Meaning that things that make me sad, kind of had to just get on with it. So in this day and age, a lot of there's a lot more ideas about how we're feeling, and of course we are always taught to talk to God, to call upon our Almighty Father, so that we can bring him all of our troubles. But also having children, I have to be aware of my mindset before I can even maybe advise my children. So with this topic, it's really important to identify how we can see or recognize when we are at maybe a low point, I suppose. Am I like to say that? So for example, like with Brother Darwin, what you're saying is it's very difficult for us to recognize, because when you're in a rut, you don't know that you're in a rut until you're deep in a rut. Does that make sense? So it means it's a lot harder to claw your way out. So it's very easy to kind of just stay there, until, more sadness comes. But of course, we're constantly reminded that we have our faith to be able to take us out of it. But we may not have the tools to be able to take ourselves out of it. So I think this discussion, and particularly for me, or for anybody that's going through a time, and again, usually at the end of the year, we think about the things that's happened to us in this year, or the things that we wanted to happen but didn't happen. So of course, our Almighty God has his time for everything for us, but with our physical bodies giving us the signals when something is in pain, like you said, Brother Darwin, our mind doesn't give us signals when it's in pain. So we always have to remain truthful and faithful to our Lord God, so that we always know who to turn to.
Would you, what do you think of this statement, Darwin? Healthy mind, healthy body.
I completely agree with that. I think that a myth that people have got into is that the mind and the body are two separate things to look after. I think if you look after your body, your mind is also looked after, and equally, if you look after your mind, your body is also healthy. I mean, if you think about elite athletes, they train and train and train, and I'm sure you can relate to this, Chris. But there will be times when you wake up in the morning and you don't feel it. You really don't feel like, maybe something has happened in your life. Let's face it, life is difficult, at the best of times.
Yeah.
And, we're never always going to feel every day like showing up. And it's at those times, I see people get stuck. They get in that vicious cycle. They just stop for a few days because they don't feel it. Then a few days becomes a few weeks becomes a few months. And then before you know it, you're in, like what you mentioned there, Cheryl, you're in that stuck position, and trying to crawl out of that is really, really, really difficult. So what we tend to recommend is, it's really important to recognize when you're using your feelings to make your decisions. I always say, check yourself. Am I using my feelings to make decisions? I mean, something as simple as getting out of bed. I mean, this morning, waking up, getting out of bed, if we followed our feelings every time, we'd never get out of bed, right?
Shez loves it. She loves the bed and the pillow, man. I'm just keeping it real here, no?
True, it's true.
That, Darwin, how would you define a psychologically healthy mind?
Yeah, I mean, something you said, Chris, earlier there, it just reminded me of this kind of, conversation I was having actually with I'm going to give a shout out to TJ here. We were talking about leaning in to pain, leaning into, the challenge, and using these kind of stressors as opportunities. We always, I think today is a really good day to talk about this, but being thankful even for the difficult times, because those are opportunities to grow, right? What I hear a lot of people talking about, especially those who are experiencing a lot of pain, like, I don't want to feel pain anymore, I've had enough. And then they avoid things, they get stuck, they stay in bed, they stop working, and they stay stuck in that cycle, right? But if you can lean into that challenge and be grateful for the opportunity, because every challenge is an opportunity to grow. And actually, a lot of the research says that the people who live longer, the people who live longer and who live actually, higher quality lives, are those who simply see stress as a challenge, as an opportunity to grow. The ones who don't live long, and I don't mean to scare anybody here, but the ones who in that research study, the ones who had more illness and the ones who died younger were the ones who said, I don't want this challenge, I don't want to feel, I want to get rid of this pain. Those are the ones who tended to suffer more, and that's often the opposite of what we think, isn't it? That get rid of pain, life will be fine. But actually, what we need to do is lean into the challenge, lean into the pain, accept it, and our bodies and our minds grow. They grow stronger as a result.
Interesting you said that. You see, with that one conversation, again, shout out to brother TJ. He's done amazing. The transformation from what I've seen over the past 18 months or so, just from a physical standpoint. So I always compliment his progression from where he was 18 months ago to where he is now. He's done exceptionally well. So yeah, round of applause to you.
Yeah, I hope that you don't mind us mentioning how well you're doing with your physical.
But also to give a shout out to, because I think a lot of the time we don't, I think a lot of us, like you were saying, Cheryl, being parents, we turn up, don't we? I think we're already doing it. And sometimes we don't recognize when we're actually, already having that kind of growth and healthy mindset. And I think the other side of that is, let's kind of give ourselves a pat on the back, because whenever we turn up and show up to these challenges,
It's interesting you said that. You're just talking about, as parents, we've been blessed to be in this position, and we've had children for ourselves. And for those who know as well, I run a martial arts academy. So when I speak to the parents, I talk about leading by example, because they're observing our behaviors and how we respond, as you said, to the stresses of life, and whether or not we shy away from it or we lean into it, as you mentioned, and then face it head on so that we can continue to strive and progress in our lives as a family, you see, and then showcasing those different types of positive characteristics where we're not afraid to experience pain and stresses, so that it will benefit us as a family. And then also show our children that we're capable of withstanding the stresses of life.
Absolutely.
And it builds us. And as parents, as husband and wife, if we're able to get through those tests together, it only solidifies our relationship as husband and wife, because we lean on each other, isn't it? So we complement each other. And then we find sometimes answers to questions that I can't answer. And then I go up to Shares and I'm like, Mummy, how about this? And she's like, So she's got a different perspective on the outlook, you see? Yeah. And then we're able to just assess the situation differently and have a broader spectrum on how we can address it. And this is what I also said to like the parents and the kids. I graded, it's the end of the year at the academy. So I graded the kids after being tested, and some of them didn't pass, you see, right? So they were naturally upset. And I said, look, if you want it, you're going to work hard for it. Are you going to give up, or are you going to strive to improve yourself and better yourself for the next time that you have the opportunity? Because just because you fail doesn't mean that you give up unless you want to give up. And it's a choice, because that's what we've been blessed with, you see. So we can either choose to stay down right? And give up on ourselves and lose all hope, okay? And not trust in God. Or we can flip the switch and then look at it from a different perspective, call to God even more, go deeper into prayer, trust in Him, right? And then find that strength that we need to get out of it. So, what I said to the parents and the children, you want to do the hard things for an easier life. Or if you want to do the easy things, your life is going to be hard. You see? So then all the parents are like,
Talking about what you mentioned, Darwin, with regards to leaning into
Mhm.
these things, or the things that we find difficult, or what we may be going through at that moment. Like, what other strategies can we do to influence ourselves, or how to get ourselves out of the mood?
Yeah. I mean, I just want to pick up on what you said there, Chris, because I think leading by example is really is key, especially for children. I mean, I don't know about you, but a lot of the children that I speak to, they're very caught up in, I need to feel good in order to be better. And again, it's that other way around. It's like you said, you need to work hard to then feel better. You know, you put the hard graft in, you don't wait to feel. But going back to your question, what other strategies could we use? I mean, make sure you're getting the basics right, because if you work hard mentally and physically, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, Chris, but if you work hard mentally and physically, you've also got to recover hard, because these I see a lot of people who really push and push and push and push and then break, and then see themselves as a failure for breaking. Actually, you need to treat your body with respect, and not just your body but your mind as well. So recognizing when you're in that vicious cycle, when you're in that rut, and allowing yourself time to rest, allowing yourself time to recover, eat well, sleep well. I'm going to sound like my mum here, but if you don't get those basics right, it's really, really hard to build on top of that. It's like trying to build a house on sand. It's I don't
that's
know
the foundation, isn't it?
It is a foundation. Yeah. But I think once you've got the basics down, I would say another thing that I tend to find is you're never going to feel like doing the whole marathon. You're never going to feel like doing the whole project. But we're not. If you imagine doing a whole marathon and a whole project, it's going to overwhelm you. So I always say, just show up, commit to 5 minutes, commit to 10 minutes. And then before you know it, like we said in the beginning, if your feelings follow your actions, you are going to feel better. And when you feel better, you're going to want to do more. And then you end up in this virtuous cycle. And I'm sure you've both seen that, isn't it? You show up, you do it. And then, how many times have we asked people, when you went for that run, did you feel worse after doing it? And they were like, no, I felt better. Usually you always feel better after showing up. The beginning, nope. But towards the end, you're like, I'm glad I did this.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're talking about it's the end of the year, what are we going to do for ourselves maybe in the year to come, in this case 2026? Like, we know, or we hope, but we know that change always happens, but there's also a part of us where we don't like change. I think there's a lot of people actually who don't like change, and whether that's things that happens in our lives that's out of our control. But with regards to what we're discussing today, how can we prepare ourselves psychologically for change?
It's a great question, and you've mentioned two things there already that as human beings we don't like. We don't like unpredictability, and we don't like not being in control. So you look at our days, how they're set up. We like routines. We like to, most of us work kind of shifts 9 to 5. So we like to know what our schedule is like in the future, because we don't do that well with unpredictability and not being in control, because it doesn't feel comfortable, right? Thing is, if all you want to do is feel comfortable, you're already going to struggle with change, because change is inherently uncomfortable. Yeah. So in order to prepare yourself psychologically for change, you've got to get used to being uncomfortable. Yeah. But you're like, oh, I don't like feeling uncomfortable. I don't like being, not being in control. You're going to struggle. You're going to struggle with change. My guess is you're probably going to, you're going to resist change as much as possible. But what if you have to change? What if you, unpredictability does come, and we know that, that life is unpredictable. It's better to be already prepared for change by getting used to being uncomfortable. I always say, if you're too comfortable, in yourself, if you're always feeling comfortable, then there's something wrong. Yeah, because once unpredictability comes into your life, you're not going to be prepared, because you've weakened yourself to the point of how comfortable you've been. Now, I'm not saying look for suffering. I'm just saying keep as much as you keep your body.
I can give him suffering. I can give him suffering. Maybe stress. No, not too much.
I've got the rings: torturing, suffering, and
there it is.
Love it.
No, but you've touched on it as well. I think from my experience as well, from coaching like children and parents as well, we've been conformed, or from my experience, I can only talk about my experience, they've been conformed to just experiencing being too comfortable. And then it's the harsh reality of facing the sudden truth where they're wanting to change, but they're not used to it, or it's the fear of the unknown as well, because they're not conditioned, because they haven't prepared for it properly, you see, and they've been more or less like forced to take action before it's too late, you see. So from my perspective as a health and fitness professional coach, and like nutrition and stuff like this, having a look at their lifestyle, for example, has led them to having that difficult and awkward conversation with me, which has then brought to the table the truth of life, you see. And the reason why specific people are in that position is because they've neglected themselves for 5 years, 10 years. And as a parent, it's more challenging for us because we're busy with life,
Well, for you, for what you and Darwin have said with regards to people are not used to kind of welcoming the unknown or welcoming change, or if we're too comfortable, people like comfortable, like me. But once we've talked about how we can recognize when we're in a rut, or when we're not having a positive mindset, and then we've talked about that we need to lean into it. So we've got those, but what tools do we have, or do we need to be able to maintain a healthy mindset? Like, how do we stay positive? How do we know immediately what we can do? Like, what do we do? What can we do?
Yeah. No, that's a really good question, because in a way, it's hard to stay positive when there's not much to be positive about, or when the challenge is not comfortable. Yeah, I think people tend to equate feeling positive with feeling comfortable. Again, we need to get rid of that idea of comfort. I think as parents and as friends, you'll know when your friend or your loved one is stuck in a rut, because it's too easy to be comfortable. People who spend all day online, people who avoid social contact, right? A lot of the people, especially the ones who kind of grew up, in their teens during COVID, they basically lost 2 years of their lives where they would have been practicing socially, right? So they've got comfortable not being social. So I would say one of the things that you can do is you need to get out there and be around people.
100%.
You just need to be around people. Yeah.
I have this issue with families that come to my academy, and they're trying to persuade their children to do that, but they're scared because they don't want to leave the bedroom. they don't want to take off their headphones because they're stuck behind a screen, as like we are like right now, but for hours on end. And this is their interaction as opposed to having that social interaction. And from my perspective, I think it's an essential part in making individuals better individuals from social interaction, because you can read body language, tonality of voice, facial expressions, and just general aura and energy of that individual. And then when you're surrounded by a group of people with a similar sort of mindset, with a positive sort of energy, that in itself is so powerful in uplifting and empowering an individual who's feeling low, because the energy is contagious, you see? So getting people to interact just from a social perspective I think is 100% essential in mental well-being, or having that healthy kind of mindset. And then when you're surrounded by that kind of energy, your outlook on life as a whole is completely different. See, because you're able to have a calmer mind, you see, a more reflective sort of positive outlook. And again, the way that you manage issues, you'll be able to just think about those problems differently and then find a resolution. And then what also when you're surrounded by individuals with a positive mindset who can give their input at the same time, rather than being stuck in a room and battling against yourself, because there's no one to interject with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. There's so much here, isn't there? There's so much we can do.
Gosh, there's so many things that I've learned within this, just the past 20 minutes that we've been talking about this.
I'm ready to go in.
But like I mentioned, so I was born or grew up in an era where we didn't talk about these things. So I'm pleased that we can now, especially now having children. We want to be able to make sure that our minds are open for them, so that we encourage them to talk to us about it. Okay, well, okay. I really hope that, Darwin, that you can join us again, maybe for a part 2 in the beginning of the year, because it would be so interesting to see if any of our listeners were able to use the tools or some of the discussions that we've done now, because I certainly have. So I certainly feel, even just having this short show, is that I already feel, I'm thinking already, how should I feel? Like, did I feel that this year was good for us, bad for us?
How do you feel now?
But
being in our presence.
Being with wiser people. No, I certainly feel a lot lighter, because then I know that there's help there for me. There's tangible, so much, what you can hear, what you can see, what you can feel, that there are things that we can do so that we don't get stuck.
Absolutely. And I think that's just to follow on from that. I think simply talking about the things that like what we've been talking about today, naming the emotions, naming something that makes you feel uncomfortable already, just by naming it and by hearing it kind of normalizes it for people. But I think especially for children who think that this is this is a challenge that they can't face because it feels really scary. When you've got like a parent who says it's going to be okay, or a bunch of friends says, you know what, I go through that too. Let's go through this together. That is so powerful. That's why
that's the support network, isn't it?
Exactly, that support network is so vital. So again, it's talking about it, naming it, and not being ashamed to talk about it. And again, not to be too hard on yourself, because we do go through all these things, and often, especially young ones, think that they're going through the things they're going through. That it's only them that are going through it.
Yeah.
But when they talk about it, they'll see that this is actually a normal thing.
Well, if it's okay, I think we should have a break. But if it's also okay with you, Darwin, if we can ask you to remain in our show, if that's okay. We do have people who have already started messaging us in the YouTube channel. So if you have any questions while we have Darwin here with us, now is the chance to let's get some questions out for him. And of course, if we can't get through it today, because time goes so fast, when you're talking about a topic that is so important, and it's enjoyable to talk about it and discuss it. The time just runs away from us. So we will certainly bring back Darwin for a part 2, maybe even part 3 and 4 into the new year. But for now, let's have a quick station break. So see you in a moment.
Thanks, Darwin.
Thank you.
This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Abangan sa Discover Western Visayas. Let's discover municipality of Haniway. Learn about how municipality successfully balance the tradition and progress. Let's visit the most important modern attraction in Haniway, the Damiris Hills. Damiris Hills is a key attraction in Haniway, the ecotourism and leisure destination that has become popular for its natural scenery, events, and recreational activities. Alamin din ng iba't iba pang attractions at produkto na ipinagmamalaki ng Municipality of Haniway. Catch all of these and more next Friday, December 26, 2025, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Philippine Standard Time in Discover Western Visayas, only here in INCRadio.
And welcome back to INCRadio United Kingdom, Fit and Faithful. You've just watched and listened to myself, Cheryl, and Darwin just talk about specific traits and methods in keeping our mindset nice and healthy. I found it really interesting.
So interesting that we are definitely going to spend more time in this, guys. So make sure you stay tuned with us. But for now, let's go through some of the activities that has happened in our 3 districts. 3 districts being the Britain North, Britain South, and Ireland. So now we will cover an activity actually where our brother Darwin Boyson is from, and that's the local congregation of Notting Hill, and they had a family fun run. So hopefully you can see some of their pictures.
There you go. That looks like Kensington.
Brethren from the local congregation of Notting Hill, District of Britain South, took their time off from their busy schedule to attend and join the family fun run. Not only they were able to spend some quality time together, but they were also able to exercise and run around the park together. And so the brethren were able to enjoy the view of the park as well as a sunny day and keep themselves fit and faithful. As choir members in the District of Britain South, brethren traveled from different locations to the local congregation of Battersea to attend a special gathering dedicated to choir members. Choir members in this part of the world united as they gathered in one place to sing hymns of praises unto our Almighty God and render honor and glory unto Him. In this special worship service, the brethren were reminded of the importance of being a choir member, to always perform their respective duty with all their heart and mind. Inspired and strengthened in their faith, the choir members in this part of the world promised to always fulfill their holy obligations. They also promised to always show their unity with the church administration as they will continue to actively participate in the activities launched.
Lovely. So there you also saw the reports on the District South Choir General Gathering. Just very quickly going back to that Notting Hill Family Fun Run. So Darwin, did you do a family fun run? Were you there? Were you leading?
It was more of a family fun walk, I have to say. Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah,
intention of the running was there. And if it transpired that it was just walking, why not?
As long as
it
you're
might-
out. As long as you're outside.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was running, but we were out. And it was great to be out, actually. Yeah, yeah.
It looked like a sunny day. Where was that? Kensington Gardens?
Yeah, Kensington Gardens. Yeah.
Area. Lovely.
Yeah.
Now, did you see? And this is actually, if you know Darwin, so he also used to be a choir member. So in that special choir gathering, it was held here where we're hosting today, and it's a local congregation of Battersea, and there were hundreds and hundreds of choir members in attendance. I don't know if you saw me somewhere along there, but if you didn't, make sure you rewatch this whole show. If not to talk about or to recap on the healthy mindset, but only to see yourself, if you're a choir member, featured in that canned report. But I'm sure Darwin sometimes he misses being a choir, because again, if you know him, he has a very good voice. Were you bass or were you tenor, Darwin?
Oh, thank you so much. You're very generous in your. Yeah, no, I was a bass, and yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I do miss being in the choir, definitely.
Yeah, in our generation, bass would have been very important, because if you lived at around the 90s, you would have known a group called Boys to Men, and it's a group who used to do is it a cappella? Is that right in saying? But it was very soulful.
And Darwin's going to give us a rendition right now.
Okay, count me down. No. You don't want a rendition.
Very prominent. So I always remember those times. But yeah, so if you missed any part of our show, I know time has gone very quickly from us. We do have a few shout outs to do, but I also know that we have a lot of YouTube. Is it YouTube? YouTube comments, but if we don't have time today, we will probably collate some of the questions for Darwin, so that when we invite him back, he can have answers ready for you. But in the meantime, Brother Darwin, do you have any shout outs?
Gosh, how long do we have? No, I mean, my first shout out goes to the local congregation of Notting Hill, to everybody who's listening here. Shout out to my dear wife, Charlotte, who I know is watching, and to Sebastian, who I hope is also watching as well. You know, and don't be too comfortable. Yeah. But also to, I know, right? I know, yeah.
We've got a t-shirt to be uncomfortable, man. Mm-hmm. Give them a hard bed to sleep on, no pillow.
How lucky is it for them to have you leading the household?
Oh, I don't. You'll have to ask them if they feel lucky. I'm not sure they.
I think I'll Charlotte.
No, it's all good. I think, man, this topic, this conversation, that this program initially that we've had. Don't know if you've had a look on the comment section below, but there's a few comments, a load of comments actually from the brethren who found it very, very useful. So, and they want us to cover, or they wanted another show covering different topics at the same time. So it just goes to show that it's relatable, you know, especially in this time. And keeping the mind and the body connected together. I think just reflecting back on what was mentioned by you earlier, Darwin, you know, you got to keep the body healthy, which will then keep the mind healthy, you see, because they work together in sync, right? And if your mind is healthy, your body's also healthy. And it just teaches us to be a little bit more disciplined and focused in making sure that both the mental and the physical health is not neglected, especially in this day and age. And, you know, for us as parents, leading by example, whether you're walking around Kensington Gardens or imagining running around, either way, when you're outside and you're with your family, it's always a very, very nice blessing to have, because it's time spent with the family, isn't it? Doing something healthy, it's bonding. You're out and about in London, in one of the parks, or not necessarily just in London, but we need to really take advantage of being outdoors a lot more. I mean, touching what was mentioned before, you know, the social interaction is, in my part, essential in making sure that we are physically and mentally healthy.
And I think using all the tools that's necessary
Mm.
to get yourself into a healthy mindset. And of course, never forgetting that we get our strength from our Almighty God, first and foremost. So the power of prayer really is what gets us, his chosen ones, to really get through anything. And as we know that there's nothing that can't do unless it's through God's will.
Yeah, I think, and what Darwin said, just keep it simple. And as what you said as well, I think as members, we must never, ever neglect the fact that we've got the opportunity to be heard by our Father, to pray more, to trust in him more. It will bring us closer to him. And then when we're closer to him, we get the answers to our prayers. We get the strength that we need. We get the guidance when we're feeling lost. And as a family, the bond between us gets stronger, isn't it? And we're leading by example, teaching our children to play. I mean, to play and pray, you see, because it's all practice. And then the compounding effect of all of this is our lives will be better. And then, keeping it simple, like what Brother Darwin said, making sure that the fundamentals are solid, you see. Resting, hydrating, eating good food, surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals,
Is it okay, Chris, if we spend the next 7 days eating poorly? And then maybe in the
so look,
year,
it's training to do the hard things.
maybe in
You see, we can be comfortable for 7 days in preparation to do the hard thing.
We can eat healthy in the new year, but please, if it's okay, for the next 7 days, could we please eat badly? The comfort food.
Yeah, feel free. And then look,
I know Darwin said don't get comfortable, but please, can we have comfort food, even just for the next 10 days? And then in the new year, we will start with a healthy body, healthy mind.
Listen, if you start, don't worry, I got you back. I'll join in.
If you do that, then I'm going to have a bit of that as well. And then we have to hold ourselves jointly accountable
100%.
when we go back.
See?
Can you imagine, like, let's say we do a show in January, the three of us.
And we're
but we'll be happy. We'll be so happy. And we'll have a positive
outlook
mindset,
for 2026.
ready for 2026.
Yeah, the example of not what
We
not
finished
to
the
do.
year strong. That's it. Let's finish the year strong in our bellies.
Strong in faith, strong in mind and body. That's the best way, I think, the ending of 2025. And just a quick recap, or what we haven't actually mentioned are, if you are from our district, we do have an activity coming up, which is the Monday the 29th. We will have a district socializing, that's CFO socializing, so that's everybody in the Christian Family Organization. So that is your mom, your husband, your daughter, your children, everybody. Please make sure that we see you in the activity. It's certainly a very exciting one. There's lots of activities for all ages. And what I know
It's going to be a busy day, no?
Yes, and what I know from our district minister, Brother Harley, that there are lots of giveaways.
Woo!
Who doesn't like giveaways?
Make sure you're there, brethren. Make sure. Where is it? Eastbourne.
Shout
That's
out
it.
to our district minister, Brother Harley Alcantara, who is sitting right next to us, supporting INCRadio and commenting as well down below.
His fingers are tapping away ferociously,
But I know we are running out of time, and I do wish that we had more time to talk about this. But we promise you in 2026, we will have more of Darwin, who is able to talk us through some of the things that he has the most knowledge of. And you'll have me still asking the questions that I have absolutely no idea.
And then me, I'm going to be twice as big in
But
7 days.
But it's great to be able to learn these things, because it's never too late to learn, especially when it comes to how we should be in ourself. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so
Be comfortable being uncomfortable
right. Good.
in
So
myself.
we are being ushered out of the show now, guys.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. All right. This is my cue to say goodbye to everybody. But before I say goodbye, you need to keep on watching and listening to INCRadio via the live audio and video streaming at iglesianicristo.net/INCRadio. And then if you haven't already done so, download the INC application right, on your mobile phones. And also join us live, like what you're doing right now on the YouTube channel. Don't forget to type in specifically where you're watching it from, your duties, etc., etc. Or you can type in the YouTube channel any of the show dates that have previously been aired, and have a look at all of the different shows that we have done in the past.
Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe.
And share.
And our last shout out for this evening, I'll let you do it because my pronunciations of names is appalling. So take it away.
To our beloved Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo, to our Deputy Executive Minister, Brother Angelo Manalo, our District Supervising Ministers, one of them is right next to us, Brother Hardy Alcantara, Britain North, Brother Romeo Anthony Pena, and in the District of Ireland, Brother Pepito Aquesta. Much love to all of you from Britain South. We do hope that you're all well, and we look forward to seeing everybody very, very soon. Oh, one more. We forgot to remind everybody who's watching to make sure that they watch their CFO News every day at what time?
9 a.m.
9 o'clock. All right. Keeps you up to date. You'll be able to see everything, not just here in Britain South, but all over the world. So, on that note, from myself, thank you so much. Cheryl and Darwin, thank you for joining us today, bro. We look forward to seeing you guys. And everyone on the show watching, thank you so much. Look after yourselves. Be comfortable being comfortable and keep it simple.
Don't be comfortable being comfortable.
No.
Don't be comfortable.
Be
like
comfortable.
that.
Be comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's right.
That's it. And do the hard things for an easy life.
Just rewatch the show, guys.
That's it. There's going to be part 2 real soon. Just with Sister Cheryl.
Bye. See you in the new year.
Bye, everyone. Live audience.
Hey, everyone. Bye.
Take care, everyone.
This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Forever I can see